offense, and the interfering with electronic communications is a 2-year offense. There's also a misdemeanor assault and battery attached to that. The probable cause evidence for that is that we believe the defendant did break and enter without the permission of the homeowner, who happens to be his sister. He showed a gun. He forcibly took her cell phone, and we believe that's probable cause evidence that allows us to make those charges. In court this morning, Mr. Kildee was arraigned from his hospital bed at the Hurley Medical Center. He suffered serious injuries in the car crash that came after the murder in Vienna Township. He was arraigned this morning at 9 o'clock by 67th District Court Judge Christopher Odette. Judge Odette, at our request, set no bond on the felony murder. He set a $100,000 cash surety bond on all the other felonies. So if our math is correct, that adds up to $1.4 million with respect to all the other felonies. He also set a $5,000 10% bond on the misdemeanor assault and battery. There are court dates that have been set. There'll be a district court pretrial set for April 4th, and there will be a preliminary examination set for April 9th. Those cases are in front of the assigned judge, David Gwynn. We do not know if the exam will take place. There's obviously some discovery issues that will have to be dealt with before then. There may very well be issues of competence and criminal responsibility that we may want to have checked out by the Michigan Forensic Center. So those are things that we're going to be looking at in the coming days. There was a no contact order put in place with Candace Luxton, who is the sister of the defendant. We asked for a no contact order for Jacob Kildee. At this time, the judge didn't grant it, but we will revisit that issue with Judge Gwynn, in as much as Jacob Kildee is a key witness in this case. Last thing I want to say before I turn it over to the sheriff is this. I spent some time with the congressman yesterday. As you might expect, he's hurting. It's a very difficult situation for him and his entire family. The Kildee family is a very close-knit family. And, you know, anytime there's such a tragedy, it's very, very difficult for folks to understand. During our meeting, I spent some time talking about what the family might expect with respect to the timeline of the criminal justice system. As you know, oftentimes things take time, and I think that will likely be the case in this situation because there's a lot of counts, there's a lot of charges, and we have to make sure that we protect the rights of the defendant, who I must say is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law with evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So having said all that, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Swanson. Sheriff.
Thank you. That's the individual responsible, charged, and his name defendant. 27-year-old son of the deceased. He'll be in the hospital until he's discharged, and I have a full sheriff security detail on him. He'll be transferred from the hospital to the Genesee County Jail. As the prosecutor said, by order of the judge, no bond. We're going to continue our investigation. This will take months to get data that was secured, not only at the hospital, but also at the scene. Scientific data that's sent. We are going to be methodical, as we do in any other case, to make sure that we answer every question that could come up. During this process, we will also continue to cover the family. We will continue to embrace, but we will do our job. And at this point, we're going to open up to questions. There's limited information I'm going to give, reference the actual facts of the case, because those will be delivered during the court proceedings. Any questions from the media and live?
I asked this once before, but a couple days past. Motive. Do we have any indication at this point?
The question was motive. And we were not able to secure an interview with the defendant, but we're looking into our witness statements and blood and other biological evidence that would at least give some type of indication of what was going on. But ultimately, there was one person that pulled the trigger.
Are you able to elaborate at all on potential delays due to competence or criminal responsibility?
In discussions with the family, there is potentially issues of mental health. And we always want to make sure that the rights of the defendant are protected under the Constitution. And certainly one must be competent and criminally responsible. So I think it's very likely that the defense, whoever becomes the defense lawyer in this case, would ask that Mr. Kildee be examined at the Center for Forensic Psychiatry in Ypsilanti. And frankly, if the defense lawyer doesn't ask for that, we're going to ask for it, because the last thing we would want is to go through the procedures. And ultimately, if we have to have a trial, we want to make sure that there's no issues for appeal. So I think that's likely to happen at the next court hearing. And that could delay proceedings for some time, because the Center for Forensic Psychiatry is pretty backed up. But that's probably what's going to happen.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming again.
Sorry, one
Yeah.
more question here. Did you guys get his toxicology reports back?
So the question about the toxicologies, we did secure the blood, but those examinations have not been released to us yet. We still have to issue search warrants and build that case file. So we do not have those results to report.
What is he charged for the OWI?
Probable cause, but that charge is, just like the prosecutor said, is part of the start of the process. We still have to show all those steps in the way, but we believe, based on the evidence that was secured and testimony and actions, that he meets that variable for the charge.
I can add to that is that in reviewing some of the police reports, there was a nurse who believes that he was under the influence. And so we based our probable cause on her belief and her potential testimony that he was under the influence.
We will say, on behalf of the family, once again, they wanted to thank everybody for honoring their privacy. And we have certainly shared with them all the different messages, the phone calls to them. Arrangements have been made through Sharp's Funeral Home, and that is separate from our position. But we do want to say, on behalf of the family, thank you for everything. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Sorry.